What's going on, everyone? It's Keith once again, and this video took entirely too long in the fact it should have been out a couple months ago, but the problem is I haven't been able to get this keyboard off of my personal desktop to do this. I've absolutely found myself to really enjoy this keyboard, and unless you've already seen the title, then you may not know, this is the Roccat Vulcan 120 Aimo keyboard. This is their newest keyboard featuring their new in-house Titan switches. They are very good switches, and through the duration of the video you'll get to hear them and see a little bit more detail about them, as well as their actuation portion, whatever. But basically the beginning of this video was an apology for it taking entirely too long. So with that out of the way, let's jump into taking a look at the keyboard itself. Alright guys, so here we are with the Roccat Vulcan Aimo 120 keyboard. So here it is in all of its glory with its nice aluminum finish on the top, which is super nice. Really like that. But we're going to take a quick tour around the keyboard to kind of give you an idea of the basics of it. So it has a fully braided cable that is right there in the middle. It's not removable, so you're not going to be able to remove it or move it around. It's going to come right out of there, which isn't necessarily a problem. It just is the way that it is. Now you do have the standard keyboard layout here, and it is lit up in the default colors that it comes with. And you have a mute button, an FX button, and the audio toggle button. So the deal here with the FX is if you're using like a motherboard that will support the FX, I believe Alienware does support that fully, but you have a nice volume knob, which is super nice. Very much like having that on board. So on the bottom here, you have a removable magnetic wrist rest, which is pretty good for the most part. It's fairly comfortable to put into place. It's useful, but it doesn't take up a lot of room. It's very thin. Now, one thing if you do, if you move the keyboard around, it will start to want to kind of come loose, if that gives you any kind of idea. If you're somebody that moves it around on a desk, it may be something to consider while you're doing that. But the profile of the keyboard is fairly slim. I almost said light, but it's got adjustable feet on the back, so you can lay it more flat or lift it up. And you do have really generous supports on the bottom, rubber grips to keep it from sliding all around, unless of course you want to slide it, and then you can lift it a little bit. It's very thin profile. It's a little thicker than it looks because it's kind of tapered on the bottom, which is still kind of cool. But the real gem and the key feature, funny that, the key feature of this keyboard is the new Titan switches. So at this point, people are kind of going in-house and building their own switches. Not that there's anything wrong with cherry switches. They're great. Gaterons are fine. Kale switches are good. But the Titan switch is very reminiscent, somewhere between, say, a cherry brown. There's a little bit of a bump to it, but there isn't a click. So you got a tactile bump, very similar to Razer's Orange, if you are familiar with those. But the major design optimization here is a 1.8 millimeter actuation point, debounced switch contact, and a reinforced transparent housing. And that's what this is down here for the LED end. The other fun feature is the really skinny keycaps. So they're skirtless keycaps, so they sit very well, light on top of here, which is cool. I kind of like the way that it looks. It gives it a very unique look from the side. It actually makes it really easy to clean out, because at first I thought this was going to be a really kind of messy keyboard, but super easy to keep clean. The key layout here is very simple. You do have integrated macro keys here, so you can use their function, hit function, then your macro key button. Then you've got your different profiles here you can save, and presets are kind of, They actually don't cycle through these crazy settings. You'll have to go into the Swarm software, which take it or leave it, how you feel about that. It is a useful software for controlling the keyboard, and you'll need it to update the firmware and such. But I personally, as far as keyboard software goes, I'm not really a huge fan of that. But we do have the game mode, which will disable the Windows key, which is nice if you're gaming. You don't want to hit that key by accident. Then you've got your hotkeys for your audio. Being that it's got an onboard volume switch, I kind of wish it had, instead of all the rest of this, maybe if we expanded this area, maybe had a play, pause, next track, backtrack, something like that. It's really neat. Now your LEDs for caps lock and such, they're down here at the bottom, which is very odd, especially if you're somebody who uses the keypad a lot. You need to turn that on. You can see here the number lock, caps lock, whatever. But with all of that out of the way, how do these switches sound? I'm going to lean in here kind of close to the keyboard and give you a little bit of a typing test. All right, guys, so this has been the Roccat Vulcan Aimo 120. I'm going to jump out of here. We're going to get to the conclusion, talk about what it's like typing on this thing. So there you have it. That has been the Roccat Vulcan 120 Aimo. I had to look off screen to get the box to make sure that I got all of those things in the right order, but this keyboard has been absolutely fantastic. See, I'm someone who has been a strong user of the Logitech G910, not to name drop any other competitors there, but I absolutely love that keyboard. But this one has been the first keyboard that's come through here that pulled me off of that keyboard. It had nothing to do with the fact that one of the red on one of the keys had gone out, so it was just a GB key. But either way, that keyboard was great. It still is pretty good. I've actually moved it over to the test bench. It's what I use over there now, so that whenever I'm doing the APU videos or recording, you don't hear a clickety clack. But this keyboard, with its nice, quiet, and smooth travel on the keystrokes, has been an absolutely wonderful thing for my typing. Whenever I'm writing articles or writing scripts, they've been great. It's been super useful. Again, but I do have to say it is quite expensive, and the software is not that great. So it's functional, it works, but it's a little cumbersome, and they're making headways on it. It's a lot better than it used to be, so I'm glad to see that that's happening. So maybe things will get even better in the future, especially with this Aimo support and their Aimo lighting ecosystem. Now that they've got headsets and mice out that also support it, maybe we'll take a look at one of those in the near future. Take less time to do that, but it's a great keyboard, but $159.99 price tag is going to keep a lot of people a little bit scared of jumping on. Now, they do have a lower end model. Well, it's really the same basic keyboard, but with a single light instead of the RGB. That'll save you some money. But me personally, what I would love to see is the Roccat Vulcan TKL, so a 10 keyless version of this keyboard, because I've also found myself really appreciating the space saving features that a 10 keyless keyboard or even a 60% keyboard has given me lately, to the point where I don't really feel the need to have a full keyboard. But I absolutely love these switches. I wonder if I can take these switches out. But Roccat, if you're watching, give us a 10 keyless version. That would be great. So this has been Keith with WCCF Tech TV. Let us know what you think about this keyboard. What keyboard are you rocking, and would you try one of these in a less expensive 10 keyless design? So make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so that we don't miss you in the next one.